All right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate everyone for their attendance. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Let the record reflect a starting time of 7 o'clock. And with that, Clerk Swope, would you please take the roll?
Certainly. Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Carter. Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Hussein.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Cost. Councilmember Palavanaglou.
Present.
Councilmember Spatafor. There are 6 members present. A quorum. Council members Carter and Garza are absent. And we are to the meditation and Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, thanks so much. Council members, I'm looking to you. Mayor, do we have anybody that we need to remember in our thoughts and prayers tonight? Seeing none, I'm going to ask that folks rise in a moment of meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You have for your approval the council proceedings of July 22nd.
All right, Councilman Spatafor.
Mr. Vice President, I move the proceedings from July 22nd, 2024.
There is a motion on the floor. Further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Do we have any council member comments? Seeing none, just very quickly, I want to thank folks that came out to our joint South Lansing Constituent Contact meeting this past Saturday at the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Hall. It was very well attended. We had several council members on hand, which I really appreciated. So thank you to Councilmember Palavanaglou, Councilmember Brown, as well as Councilmember Carter. They all joined Councilmember Garza and myself. If Todd Haywood is watching, I promise we didn't deliberate on anything before the council. There was no violation of the Open Meetings Act. But in any event, really, really well-attended meeting. As I had stated on the 12th, when I made the announcement, we kind of leaned into economic development across South Lansing. So we want to thank Mr. Alex Watkins and Aurelius Christian. Alex is actually just walking into the room. We really appreciate those guys and the work that they're doing to really drive economic development, job creation, blight elimination, those types of things on the south side. So we kind of took a tour of South Lansing using maps and things like that, and talked about a number of critical sites and some of the things that we're doing to drive some of our north and southbound corridors forward. So it was a fantastic meeting. I think folks left with a lot of hope, a lot of energy, a lot of wind in their sails. It was fantastic. The other comment is, or announcement, sorry, we have the Rejuvenating South Lansing meeting tomorrow evening. So that's at 6:30 p.m. That is at 5825 Wise Road, which is the South Lansing Community Center named after Elfrida Schmidt. And so we hope that you can be there. We have former now, board member of the Ingham Community Health Center, Hope Lavelle will be there to talk a little bit about the Ingham Community Health Centers and some of the services that they provide. And the folks that have ever attended a Rejuvenating South Lansing meeting knows that after that featured speaker, there's always about an hour of city council updates, city of Lansing updates. And it's just a fantastic time to get kind of caught up to speed on all things Lansing. So we invite you to Rejuvenating South Lansing tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
All right, I don't have any announcements, so we are to community event announcements. If there's anyone in the audience who has a community event, you have up to 1 minute to tell us the details. You can just step right up. And seeing none, we are to speaker registration for public comment on legislative matters. And legislative matters tonight does include the 3 public hearings, although not to steal anyone's thunder, but the Genesee pilot has been withdrawn by the applicant. So you can still speak on that, but it is a moot issue at this point. So the 3 public hearings and then items on the consent agenda and resolutions for action. So on the printed agenda, that's items 3 through 15 are eligible to discuss at this coming point. So we'll give you about another minute to jump up and get with Zach in the back. If you would like to speak, you do need to sign to fill out a speaking form. And with that, we are to the mayor's comments.
Mayor Shore, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't want to just jump in. So I'll be quick, but I do have a variety of thank yous and congratulations. One, I want to thank everybody on this panel and others in the viewing audience and the crowd. I was down with COVID 2 weeks ago, and just thank you everybody for understanding. I got some very nice text messages and things. Over the weekend, I had several people who asked me how I'm doing, and I'm fine. And then I missed our senior fair, and our seniors put together a whole folder of notes. It was very nice. So it's one more reason I love Lansing, and I want to thank everybody for that. I want to thank CATA. Something that happened today, Councilman Cost and I had a conversation, and he had talked to me about a lot of the businesses on Michigan Avenue. Many of them are very happy about what's coming after the construction, but they are struggling right now. And I went and I spent some time, my family spent time over the weekend. I spent some time today, bought a few things. But the nice folks over at Triple Goddess said to me, you know, what would be really, I said, what can we do to help other than stop the construction, which we can't, what can we do to help? And they said, what would really be helpful is CATA's eastbound #1 bus stops at Leslie, and it doesn't go all the way, so people don't realize they can go all the way, and that would be really helpful. So I contacted Brad Funkhauser at CATA this afternoon, and by 3 o'clock, he said, yep, we can do that. So government working. And that was exciting. So for the folks, and I called the folks over at Triple Goddess and let them know, and they were really happy. Again, it doesn't end the construction. They're looking forward to everything coming after, but the fact that we can at least take some small measure is a testament to all of us that we can help out our constituents. And I appreciate Councilman Cost for mentioning that to me, and so it was a good result. I want to thank everybody at Union Missionary Baptist Church. Wonderful car show over the weekend. Magic Johnson was there. So to Pastor and First Lady Craig, thank you for everything you did for Mr. Johnson, for Irvin Johnson Sr. Thank you to Pilgrim Rest on the south side. They did a community day of prayer and care where they gave away clothes and books and other things. And there were a lot of people there, and it was great. Our East Side Neighborhood Organization had a wonderful festival in the Sears parking lot. Lots of folks and great vendors. Thank you to Ingham County for doing Unity in the community over the weekend. Again, just a ton going on. I mentioned the senior fair. Thank you to our staff, everybody at the city that pitched in and really made an incredible senior fair. I wasn't there because of COVID, but I understand Colonial Village had a great block party. So that's, thank you to them for doing that with our residents. Thank you to Brotherhood Against Drugs for their backpack giveaway. Churchill Downs had their annual cleanup. We had 2 mobile food distributions. So lots going on in our city. This week, I hope everybody will remember that we have our final concert in the park. The Lansing Symphony is at Moores Park tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. I got to look at my calendar. I think it's tomorrow. And then I want to congratulate the Lugnuts on a wonderful season. They end this week. And then finally, happy Labor Day to all of our city workers and really all the workers out there. I know it's a 3-day weekend and everyone will go to barbecues and things, but let's all remember those workers that do so much for us every day. And just want to wish everyone a happy Labor Day. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Okay, we are to public comment on legislative matters, and as I said, that's items 3 through 15 on the agenda, and items 3, 4, and 5 are public hearings. Number 3 is the Lansing Gateway Corridor Improvement Authority. Number 4 is the payment in lieu of taxes for Genesee Senior Apartments, and number 5 is Brownfield Plan number 81, the Neogen expansion. Overview of those?
Sure. Councilman Brown on number 3 and 5.
Thank you, Vice President Hussein. We have the Lansing Gateway Corridor Improvement Authority Development and Tax Increment Finance Plan. Just a quick summary, the Lansing Gateway Corridor primarily runs along North Grand River Avenue and acts as the northernmost west to east to the fairway to the city of Lansing. The Lansing Gateway Corridor is the home to a variety of manufacturing, service, transportation, retail businesses, along with residential neighborhoods in northern Lansing. Some of the major organizations are the Capital Region International Airport and Peckham. The City of Lansing has made the revitalization of this corridor a priority by adopting this plan. 2019, City Council approved the establishment of the Gateway Improvement Authority by creating under Public Act 57 of 2018, consisting of representatives from the business community and corridor residents. The goal of the authority are to strategically revitalize the corridor, prevent any further deterioration, and promote economic growth in the area. And so this is the public hearing.
Yep, number 5, sorry.
Oh, okay. And then we also have the Brownfield Plan 81 Amendment Number 1 for Neogen expansion, 720 East Shiawassee Street and 703 East Michigan. In that, it includes demolition of the Herbert Building, construction of new 35,000 square foot manufacturing and research building, as well as acquisition of 703 East Michigan Avenue, construction of 4,700 square foot extension of manufacturing and research building, and a few other details here, but that is that. And both of them will go to the Development and Planning Committee on August 28th, back in the conference room.
Fantastic. And then as already referenced, with regard to number 4, payment in lieu of taxes for Genesee Senior Apartments, I do have an email that I want to read into the record very quickly. This is from Greg Barron, who was with us on the 12th, from Volker. He is the Managing Director of Development. He stated, Raleigh and all, please consider this Volker Development Inc.'s formal withdrawal of the 4% pilot application for the Genesee Senior Apartments project. Because it is on the agenda, as Clerk Swope said, you certainly can still speak to it. But again, the 4% request has been withdrawn. I want, for full transparency, because I don't want anybody to be misled, that means that City Council's review of this particular project is done. That does not mean that doesn't prohibit them from moving forward with a 10%, which does not require City Council's approval. And they did receive a 10% last year. I think that, and I could be wrong, Mr. City Attorney, I think they can move forward with that and apply for their low-income housing tax credits from the state. We have no idea, because this is all we got from this particular company, so we don't know what their plans are. But again, with regard to the 4%, that's been withdrawn. Thank you.
Okay, so I do want to acknowledge that we have a letter from the Chamber of Commerce in support of the Neogen Brownfield, and our first speaker is Tim Damon, followed by Bill Black.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. As it was noted, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Neogen expansion and Brownfield project, and multiple factors, and I think one going back to 1982, a Neogen homegrown company right here in Lansing. I always tell people it was technology transfer from Michigan State University before anybody knew what technology transfer was. And so here, and to see the continued investment they've made throughout the city of Lansing, throughout our neighborhoods, and renovating old school buildings, and probably some of the school buildings that some of you may have went to as young kids growing up here in the region. So you think about a globally headquartered company here, right? And it's about that attraction of those headquartered types of companies are so critically important to a region. That wealth stays here. Dollars are coming back, staying here in our community, housing and all the things that go along with that, and supporting our regional economy. So critically important. Also, too, in the third piece of this, someone that was mentioned earlier, Michigan Avenue corridor and the small businesses that are there. This is an opportunity of bringing that Neogen brand out onto that Michigan Avenue corridor, and I say that's only positive can come from that. For the 100 new jobs that are going to be there, and a couple hundred that are already there, and getting more people onto that corridor, again, very critically important, especially as we get through this construction and wrap that up. So at the end of all this, we're here to say that we support it. We're certainly looking forward to any of the next steps in any way that we can certainly be a part of that, and continue to support economic growth and development in our city and in the region. We're certainly willing to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Bill Black, and then Keith Wazalensky.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, it's an honor to be in front of you today. I do have some handouts for you I'd like to give to the clerk if that's possible. So we're thankful to be here today. We do support economic growth but we do not support economic growth at the cost of workers in the city of Lansing. My colleagues that are here today are President Scott Quinville, President Teamsters Local 243, Corey Smith, Vice President, and Heather Dabrowski, Business Representative. We're no strangers to this council here. We represent the city employees, 54A District Court, and we also represent all the UPS workers in southeastern Michigan. We're here today to oppose Neogen getting any type of funding from the city council or from the state of Michigan. We're currently in discussions with the MEDC about this as well. And the reason why we're opposing it, Local 243 held an election with Neogen, or late 2023. During that process, there were unfair labor practice charges filed against the company. Obviously, Lansing is a union town and Michigan is a union state. Underneath the Biden-Harris National Labor Relations Board, they issued late last year a CMAX decision. And a CMAX decision is when an employer has been found to unfaithfully discharge the rights of violating workers' rights to a free and fair election, which we all support, and where the union can show majority status, then they should be issued a bargaining unit. The first people in the state of Michigan to get a CMAX decision is Neogen Corporation. We find that disgraceful that they would treat workers in the state of Michigan and the great city of Lansing like this. No matter who you are, no matter what party you're from, you should respect workers' rights, and that's what this is about. And to reward companies like this with tax money, with tax incentives, is just wrong. We strongly oppose this till Neogen does what is right. And we encourage Neogen to sit down and come to the table instead of fighting the National Labor Relations Board. And please, don't take my word for any of this. Please read the complaint from the National Labor Relations Board that was issued. This is real stuff. And if we allow this to happen, you'll have every employer that treats workers wrongfully and unlawfully coming to this body here trying to take advantage of them. And I did all this in less than 3 minutes, so thank you.
Thank you.
So we are actually, folks, past the point of applause. So I'm going to ask that you don't applaud. Trust me, we are absolutely listening. And we appreciate every perspective we get up at the podium. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have Keith Wazelinski, followed by Amy Rockman.
Good evening, council members. My name is Keith Wazelinski. As said, I'm the senior tax accountant for Neogen Corporation. I'm speaking on behalf of Jim Walter, our vice president of global operations, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but he did want to make a couple of comments. We at Neogen would first and foremost like to thank the council for your time and commitment to this great city. Through your leadership, listening, and action continues to move Lansing forward. The past couple of years have been filled with much highs, such as the merger of 3M Food Safety back in September 1st of 2022, and our company's first president, Mr. James Herbert, receiving the Lansing Chamber of Commerce Community Leadership Award on May 10th, 2023. Unfortunately, we had a great low this season with the passing of Mr. Herbert on March 16th, 2024. But Mr. Herbert had a vision for Neogen early on. His first was to repurpose some of the decommissioned schools and buildings to set up research and manufacturing space. Second was to create good local jobs for the talent coming out of the Lansing area local education system. And third was to revitalize the Lansing neighborhoods where these neglected buildings were located. We continue this vision through the cleanup efforts that are going on at our Shiawassee Street location, where we expect to invest over $200 million, which, by the way, nearly 100% of the contractors working on that project are union contractors, to create up to 115 new full-time positions. This facility will definitely house a very advanced manufacturing space, modern lab and research rooms, offer great jobs to the Lansing area community, and we continue to strive to maintain our employee and community safety. Our amendment to the brownfield proposal will allow us to continue that growth. We have purchased additional land adjacent to our construction site, so that's only additional room for our operations to grow. We look forward to continuing the legacy of what Mr. Herbert started over 40 years ago to continue to create great jobs in the Lansing area by providing the opportunity to retain our local talent, keep them here. I would like to finish with a quote from Mr. Herbert when he actually received that Community Leadership Award. There is nothing like being recognized at home. We hope that Neogen's commitment to the Lansing area continues to recognize him in his honor. Thank you again for your time and service to our community.
Thank you. Next, we have Amy Rockland, followed by Alicia Maida.
Good evening. I'm Amy Rockland, Neogen's Chief Legal and Compliance Officer, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the council today. As detailed in a number of letters of support that you all have received, Neogen has been an exemplary corporate citizen in Lansing since 1982. Earlier, you heard a Teamsters representative allege that Neogen had engaged in unfair labor practices in connection with a recent union drive. This is simply untrue. Neogen believes in and has been actively participating in a fair and equitable process for Neogen employees to determine whether they wish to be represented by the union. And in compliance with National Labor Relations Board rules, we provided our employees with accurate and transparent information to help them help inform their decision. In December of last year, our employees rejected representation by the Teamsters. Recently, in response to that failed union drive, the Teamsters have alleged unfair labor practices. In contrast to what Mr. Black said, there has been no opinion. There has been a grant of a hearing, which is standard NLRB process. By standard NLRB process, you grant a hearing and you explore the allegations. So the grant of a hearing does not suggest or imply any wrongdoing on Neogen's part. We'll participate in the hearing and we'll zealously defend ourselves because we have done nothing improper or unfair. We continue to choose to make a significant investment in Lansing. The 720 Shiawassee expansion is creating more than 100 new jobs, approximately $45 million in new property taxes in 20 years, and Neogen is using Michigan and Lansing contractors and almost exclusively union labor in this construction. So I appreciate the opportunity to clarify some of these points. If the council has questions or requires further information, please do let us know. We can address in the committee meeting later this week or at the convenience of the council or any of the members. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Alicia Maida, and I also do want to note that we received a written communication from William Lawrence containing over 30 signatures of residents opposed to the Genesee School pilot. So Alicia Maida, followed by Lauren Delcamp.
Yeah, I was here to talk about that. I just wanted to give you a quick update. We met as a neighborhood last night. We had about 30 people come. We are well on our way to getting the Genesee Neighborhood Association working. We've got some good ideas, met a lot of people. And so I'm just thankful that the whole school thing helped us get that going. And we are looking forward to continuing to work and hopefully have some input with what happens to the building. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lauren Delcamp, followed by Ash Keeling.
Hello, longtime attendee, first time speaking. This is very near and dear to my heart. My name is Lauren Delcamp. I live at 734 and a half West Genesee. My property overlooks the aforementioned current green space of the 835 West Genesee property. I kind of had a spiel all figured out here, and now that they've pulled their application, I'm not sure where we're going moving forward. The biggest contention was with the Volker Corporation, and we don't have any confidence in them. So I don't understand really how things move forward, but I understand that the 4% that would have been the tax abatement is got to do with the city council, but they still get the 10% with the Mishra. if I'm understanding correctly, and that they could still move forward. So I'm hoping that we can get ourselves together and figure out how to move forward to maybe stop this particular company with this particular development. And I'm very glad that we're reestablishing the neighborhood association also. So that's something good that's come out of it. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next is Ash Keeling, followed by Marshall Clabeau. And after Marshall, for our folks in the back, we will have our online, Scott Murto will be after. So we've got Ash, then Marshall, and then Scott, our virtual participant.
Hello. I'll just keep it really quick. I mean, seeing as how they've pulled their application, I just, that's a good thing because we, as has been stated, we have no confidence in that company's ability to do something positive for the neighborhood and for their property. I just want to thank the council for at the last meeting asking really good questions and being on top of it. So that was really good to hear and to see. And hopefully that we'll be able to move forward as a community and figure out something positive to do with the space. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Marshall Clabeau, who will be followed by our virtual Scott Murphy.
Yes, thank you. Speaking on behalf of the Genesee School, although the pilot has been withdrawn, the needs still remain. A very similar footprint to the ANC, as size as acreage, and the building its size itself. Really a mixed use is the best case for the neighborhood, keeps the character of the corner in place, still serving as a community anchor. We're looking at affordable housing, seniors a great angle, food, energy, childcare. The IRA, there's dollars being left on the table right now by the city and by BWL that aren't being reached, which leads to my next point, to oppose the BWL rate increases scheduled to be voted tomorrow. Thank you to Representative Cost and Jackson for signing on to that letter. Encourage the rest to sign on. It really harms South Lansing ratepayers on the pollution from the gas plant that these rate increases are funding. So thanks for your time. Definitely don't want Volker to continue this project. It would harm the community. Tearing down green space, paved paradise for a parking lot, can't go down that road. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we are to our virtual participant, Scott Murto, and they'll be followed by William Lawrence. This is our first virtual participant ever, so here we go.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay, good. Hi, I'm Scott Murto. I'm a Genesee neighborhood resident. I'm excited to see reuse and rejuvenation plans getting underway for our historic Genesee Street School and neighborhood. And I would like to thank the Volker Company for initiating this effort and taking the time to put their proposal on the table. It's not bad, it needs improvement. Thanks again for getting the ball rolling and getting us off our butts to get our local neighborhood association up and running again. Now, while I wholeheartedly applaud the senior housing dimension of the plan, an equally important need is absent from it, namely the utilization of the site to meet the needs of the neighborhood as a community center and gathering place so the seniors living there can pass along their knowledge and wisdom, to the extent they have it, to younger generations. To embark on such a journey, it's crucial to acknowledge at the outset that its benefits cannot be gauged by typical economic measures. I firmly believe new metrics can be developed in conjunction with local, regional, and state entities that will preclude the need for any type of a payment in lieu of tax plan or pilot. Even though that's off the table, I think the point still stands. Rather, let us create a type of true pilot project that fully utilizes and rewards the time, tools, and talents of everyone involved and affected as the redevelopment of this historic site progresses, whoever does it, Volker or otherwise. And to be clear about this, in my opinion, such a new economic approach is not a matter of if it can be done, but rather how it can be done. Neoclassical economic models that look solely at standard financial investments and profits are inadequate to the multiple tasks before us as we face the effects of accelerating climate change and the badly needed rebuilding of our presently compromised social networks of trust and transparency. So let's just get to work and build this thing for everyone's benefit. We're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have William Lawrence, followed by Petra Mills.
Hi there, Council. I'm a Genesee neighborhood resident. Just want to reinforce a few of these key points regarding this proposal in case it comes before you again, or should it come before the Economic Development Department for a 10% pilot. We've now collected 87 names and addresses from within the neighborhood, within a 2-block radius of the school, who are opposed to this proposal as written. We all want to see something happen with the property, as you're hearing. We want this to be the anchor of the neighborhood as it once was, as a school and community center. But the fact is that nobody in the neighborhood had any contact with either of the developers, nor did we hear a word about this proposal before it appeared at the Economic Development Subcommittee at the end of July. And this has really put this proposal off on a wrong foot and hasn't inspired a lot of trust from the neighborhood regarding Volker's ability to build a proposal that's in our interest. And that's not even mentioning what's on paper, which you've heard some of the critique about. And as you've heard, we're getting the neighborhood association restarted. We're getting organized to envision a more positive and well-rounded use for this property. And as I'm sure is the case in any neighborhood, not everybody agrees about exactly what they'd like to see done with the property. And we are clear that this process is going to take compromise. But based on what I've heard from speaking with neighbors, I think that people could really get excited about a mixed-use development that included subsidized housing, could also include some sort of child care center or a small child care business, maintaining a playground and green space on the property that could be multi-generational in character. Now that's a true neighborhood center, something that offers something from the whole family, from the children up to our senior citizens. So we're not sure what's going to come next, I suppose, for the Volker proposal, or if they still intend to seek LIHTC funding from MSHA this fall. But if they do, I hope that the council and the administration will join us in opposing that funding while working with us to build a vibrant and realistic and fundable and practical alternative for that property at the Genesee School. And I would also just like to specifically ask the mayor and his economic development department to reject the 10% pilot application if that is indeed how the developer intends to proceed. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Petra Mills, followed by Luna Brown.
Hello, City Council. My name is Petra. I am a member of the Genesee school question, I guess. I just got off work. I left work 5 hours early because this issue was important enough for me to feel like I needed to come out here and speak. Volker leaving means that I have what points I did have are no longer as relevant. But I think that, like William Lawrence and other members of the Genesee area have mentioned, Volker is part of the problem, and even though that they have walked away from this current pilot application, it seems possible that they will come back with a second application, whatever form that takes. And to echo Will's last point, I think that we've made our points convincingly to City Council, and we're excited to see City Council making the right decisions for what's going to be best for our communities. That doesn't involve destroying a community playground and doesn't involve removing trees and replacing them with a massive parking lot. But that's all I have tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And our final speaker for this section is Luna Brown.
I'd just like to speak on concerns about the appointment of Hannah Jones Nelson for second ward member of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Board. I mostly just have concerns because I have no clue what her qualifications for this position are. Like, all I can find online is that she has a master's in divinity from the University of the Nazarene in Olivet. The Nazarene Church is an anti-LGBT church. They are very vocal about their opposition for same-sex marriage. The lead member of Focus on the Family is a member of the Church of the Nazarene, so I have some definite concerns on those grounds. And I really just don't get what her qualifications are. Like, her only work history I could find is being a youth pastor at the Church of the Nazarene. I really think we should clear up what her stances are on these issues before she gets appointed, because I have concerns, and again, I have no clue what her qualifications are, and I can't find them anywhere. I'd also like to point out that when my application for this position was designed, not Ward 2, but a different one, you guys sent me an email saying that my involvement in trying to get an LGBTQ shelter going in Lansing somehow disqualifies me because it'd be a conflict of interest. I'm pretty sure your city attorney could tell you that that would not be a conflict of interest. That's my time. Thanks.
Thank you. And we are to the referral of the public hearings. Item 3, the Gateway Corridor Improvement Authority.
Development and Planning,
Item 4, the Genesee Senior Apartments.
Committee of the Whole and place on file.
And item 5, the Brownfield Plan number 81.
And, Development and Planning.
Okay, we are to the consent agenda.
Councilman Spatafor.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice President, excuse me, we're going to remove items 6 and 7, which are the appointments of Hannah Jones Nelson and Charles Paul Colati Jr. from the consent agenda, leaving items 8 through 13, a liquor license for the Irish House Company, a nonprofit recognition for the Lansing Promise, a fee adjustment for from the Building Safety Office, a grant acceptance for the Office of Financial Empowerment from the National League of Cities to advance economic mobility, a grant acceptance for the Project Safe Neighborhoods, federal award for the police department, and a collective bargaining agreement with the Capital City Labor Program. With that being said, I would move the consent agenda as amended.
All right, there's a motion on the floor for the discussion. Hearing and seeing none. If you are in support, signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, we are to item 6, the appointment of Hannah Jones Nelson to the DEI Board.
Councilman Jackson. I'm sorry, what's that? Yes.
Hannah Jones Nelson, please come to the front.
If you, very quickly, if you want to address what you all discussed in committee, and then we'll have the vote, and then we can get her sworn in, should she be approved.
All right, so we had Miss Hannah Jones Nelson in our committee. She is applying to be a member of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Board. She would be a member for the 2nd Ward. She came before the committee and answered our questions. She told us that she moved here to Lansing from Kansas City in 2001, that besides her work as a pastor, a youth pastor at her church, she also is a substitute teacher at Sexton High School, and she wanted to extend her service beyond the church and be involved in the community. She said that she has a special needs brother that she's advocated for forever, and that she also understands that she is, as she said, a cis white woman, but that she wants to make sure that everybody has a seat at the table and has an opportunity to be heard. She passed our committee 2-0, and she's here today and before for approval. I would move her appointment.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor. Further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Come on.
Come on up to this mic in the middle.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Board Member
of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Board Member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
All right, and while they do that, that takes us to item number 7. This is an appointment for Charles Paul Colati Jr. as an at-large member of the Arts and Cultures Commission for a term to expire June 30th, 2028. Councilmember Jackson.
So arts, I think this is not supposed to be for me. Arts and Cultural Commission, do we push that forward? Okay, do it that time. Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for this one. I thought he wasn't gonna be here. So we're here to appoint Mr. Charles Paul Colati Jr. to an at-large member of the Arts and Cultural Commission for a term to expire June 30th of 2028. I did miss this committee meeting, but Mr. Colati Jr. passed through the committee and must have answered everything properly. He is a resident of Lansing in the 4th Ward, and he was the Director of Development and Operations for Michigan's Children and has a lot of other very nice things on his resume here. And I imagine my colleagues vetted him well, and I would move his appointment.
All right, there is a motion on the floor. Further discussion? And I would just add that it was an exceptional interview. There was a little bit of lapse in between the committee where we actually vetted and then the vote simply because we needed an opinion from our city attorney. Mr. Colati is very involved, volunteers quite a bit, and is involved somewhat with the election. So we had to just make sure that he was eligible for this position. He certainly is. So we appreciate his desire to be involved even further, right? So with that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Behind the mic.
Okay.
All right. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Arts and Culture Commission member
of the duties of the Office of Arts and Cultural Committee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for your help.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to item number 14, resolutions for action. We have a resolution of orders to make safe or demolish to the owners of 1342 North Walnut Street. Councilman Cost.
Thank you, Vice President Hussein. I almost called you Garza. What we have before us, do I need to move the substitute first?
Yes.
Okay. So first, I need to move the substitute. In front of you is a substitute, which simply changes the date from 30 days to 21 to comply with state law, state statute.
All right, on the adoption of the substitute, any questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, so what we have before us right now is, excuse me, 1342 North Walnut Street. It was originally red tagged 3/14 of 2014. At this point, there are no permits. They've all been denied, with the exception of demolition, which is NA. So I don't think that they've applied for one. The Committee on Public Safety heard this 8/13 of 24. The owner did come, but did not state any specific plan moving forward with this property. It is a fire damage property. It was ordered to be made safe or demolish in June 27th of 24. It has not been made safe. So I would move the resolution.
Right. So there is a motion on the floor. Any questions, comments? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We are to item 15, the budget amendment.
Councilman Spatafor.
Mr. Vice President, I would move the budget amendment recognizing the executive reorganization of the Office of Financial Empowerment, moving to the Department of Economic Development and Planning. For some details, it is a $572,997 personnel budget and a $195,735 operating budget, moving from NACE to EDP. So moved.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Any questions, comments? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, we are to speaker registration for public comment on city government-related matters, so we'll give you another minute to get up and sign in if you wish to address city council during this time. And in the meantime, we are to reports of city officers, boards, and commissions.
Councilman Spatafor.
Mr. Vice President, I move that all items be considered as being read in full and the proper referrals be made by you.
Motion on the floor. Further questions, comments? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, we have from the city clerk minutes of boards and commissions.
Place on file.
And Executive Order 2401, the transfer of financial empowerment to the DEP, Department of Economic Development and Planning.
Committee of the Whole and place on file.
From the mayor, we have two items relative to Z1 2024, 3724 Pleasant Grove Road rezoning from R3 suburban residential to MFR multifamily residential.
Development and planning.
We have two items relative to payment in lieu of taxes for Riverview 220 apartments at 220 East Kalamazoo Street.
Development and planning.
Two items relative to payment in lieu of taxes for Grand Vista Place at the 500 block of South Grand Avenue.
Development and planning.
We have Act 4 of 2024, purchase of 2300 South Washington Avenue.
Development and planning.
Two items relative to orders to make safe or demolish to the owners of 1044 Ontario Street.
Public safety.
Grant acceptance, Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity for firefighter turnout gear.
Ways and means.
Grant acceptance for Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund.
Ways and means.
Grant acceptance, Michigan Department of Eagle, Community Energy Management Grant.
Ways and means.
The collective bargaining agreement for the CCLP that was approved earlier tonight.
Committee of the Whole and place on file.
And the budget amendment that was approved earlier tonight.
Committee of the Whole, place on file.
And communications and petitions, we have three claims. Claim number 2061, Eddie Nuno for $565 in trash fees at 330 North Walnut. Claim 2042, James Williams for $2,375 in trash fees at 1705 North Martin Luther King. And claim 2066, Dave Mann for $565 in trash fees at 1123 Hateman Street.
City operations.
We have a communication from General Manager Dick Peffley regarding the Board of Water and Lights energy planning.
Committee of the Whole and place on file.
And we have communications from 8 individuals opposing the Board of Water and Light rate increases.
Committee of the Whole, place on file.
And finally, a notice from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, request to transfer ownership of a SDM license at 618 Kalamazoo Street.
City operations.
We are to motion of excused absence.
Councilman Spatafor.
Mr. Vice President, I move the excuse of absent members.
There's a motion on the floor. Further discussion? Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And remarks by council members.
Do we have any further council comments? All right, thank you.
Remarks by the mayor.
Mayor Shore?
Okay, we are to public comment on city government-related matters. First, we have, speakers have up to 3 minutes to address city council. John Purich, followed by Christine Miller.
Mayor Shore, members of the council, my name is John Purich. I'm a longtime resident of Lansing, having practiced law in the city of Lansing since May 11th, 1972. I'm the former chair of the Sparrow Health Board, and I'm the current chair of the University of Michigan Health Corp Board, which oversees Sparrow, our 5 affiliate hospitals, and the University of Michigan West facility in Grand Rapids. If any proposed resolution comes before this council that would impact or obstruct the U of M Health Sparrow's plans to address Lansing's healthcare crisis for the foreseeable future, we would respectfully request that such action not be taken. In November of this year, Sparrow will celebrate its 130th year of healthcare in Lansing, here in Lansing and in mid-Michigan. While the new 120-bed behavioral hospital that we're projecting to build is our first proposal on the property, given the urgent need of these services, it's not the only consideration for this site. As you're aware, Sparrow is also exploring opportunities to use our property to address other critical healthcare needs through our extended campus. These include better access to cancer care, enhancements in our birth center and our NICU facilities, a more convenient surgical center, and importantly, expanding our overcrowded ER. Our ER right now is designed for 75 patients. We average 225 patients a day. This is imperative that we move forward to address this particular crisis. While these opportunities are still in the initial phases, an important consideration as Council considers the future of this property and the full picture of what any proposed resolution could have of these projects and plans is very important. Sparrow is affiliated with the University of Michigan. This is the December 2022 affiliation agreement, 71 pages that we worked long and hard to get. And as part of that agreement, the University of Michigan Health has committed to investing $800 million towards improving access to the world-class health care in our community. Former Eastern High School campus is the linchpin for this vision, and we need to be able to use our property to address the community's healthcare needs today and in the future. I understand that many feel a connection to Eastern High School. Sparrow will continue to work with the community to honor its legacy as we evolve the U of M Health Sparrow campus. Lastly, although dozens of community members have shared meaningful ideas that will allow Sparrow to honor the school's legacy and invest in healthcare needs of the people of Lansing, something like memorial gardens or remembrance walls are just a few of the examples that have been discussed. Lastly, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Once again, I ask that you oppose any resolution that would impact our development of the property and that would stand in the way of developing greater health care needs for Lansing and Michigan. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Christine Miller, followed by Ronald Peterson.
Good evening. My name is Christine Miller, and I am a registered nurse of 50 years, 35 years in the Sparrow emergency room. And in the last 35 years, I have watched the mental health crisis evolve and escalate to a major crisis that we're dealing with right now. We currently today, for example, are holding 17 mental health patients that we can't place, that are waiting to be placed in a facility to receive care. And I feel like people don't quite understand, like, we are an emergency room and we cannot provide mental health therapy to our patients. We're merely holding these patients until they can get to a facility somewhere in Michigan. Our children have to all leave the area. There is no mental health facility for children in Lansing. And most of our adults also have to leave the Lansing area to get care. So we're very, very short and deficit. We're very deficit on beds, and it is very much impacting this crisis. So our patients, basically, we're keeping them safe and we're managing them, but again, we don't render care to them short of food and a place to stay until they can get to a facility. And I really want the City Council, I'm basically pleading with you to make the mental health crisis a priority, and anything that would disrupt or provide an obstacle to building these new facilities, I would hope that you would take into consideration the desperate need that we have for not only mental health beds, but emergency room beds as well. If you've been a patient in our ER at all in the last year or two, you know that you're gonna wait, you're gonna sit in a hallway, because we simply don't have the space. And I think we owe it to our community to provide better care for our mental health patients overall, and not have to have them waiting for days and often weeks to get placed in a facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ronald Peterson, followed by Margaret Diamond.
Good evening, I'm Ronald Peterson. I live at 418 Lathrop Street. I'm here tonight because I'm worried about Lansing's future. A huge worry is that tomorrow night, Lansing's Board of Water and Lights Commissioners may add, in just over a year, 13% to our electric bill. 19% will be added to our water bill, this following a total of 39% in water rate hikes since 2018. BWL leadership says they need these higher interest rates, or these higher rate hikes, to cover inflation and the cost of the Clean Energy Plan. These will be the highest rate hikes ever. Yet 55% of the planned new projects over the next 4 years for BWLs is for a highly polluting gas plant. Dick Peffley himself said the Clean Energy Plan is expected to result in a one-time 2.5 to 3% rate increase that will be bonded out over 20 years. He said it would be easy on the pocketbook and not sticker shock. This was reported by the Lansing State Journal last year on July 19th. Inflation, natural gas, which is a sizable part of BWL's budgets, is trading at all-time historic lows and is projected to stay low for the rest of the year. Inflation numbers overall are trending down, not up. These huge hikes are unjustified sticker shock that will harm low-income and middle-class residents most. We're co-owners of the BWL, being a municipal utility. The BWL leadership has not made the case for the outsiders' rate increases. Now, I recognize that BWL's Board of Commissioners don't answer directly to the council or the mayor, but they don't answer to us either, the public. I was there last week at the public input meeting. They didn't answer to us. They made it clear that they don't. Still, I believe you have a big impact if tomorrow morning you could contact BWL and say no to these unjustified huge rate hikes. Please do this for the people who voted for you, for the people you serve, and the future of our city. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Margaret Diamond, followed by Dustin Howard.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Diamond. I'm the regional president of the Sparrow Health System and University of Michigan West. And as Barack Obama said, the stupidest thing he did was talk after Michelle, probably the same after Mr. Pirich, because he's been a cornerstone in the community and he's really outlined what the main issues are. But I did want to tell you, first of all, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for those who support expanding behavioral health in the city of Lansing. Those of you who are opposed because of Eastern, we respect your opinion. But let me just say about behavioral health. There is not a child or adolescent bed within 60 miles. If you have a child in crisis, you'll be driving an hour every day, an hour there and from. And the other issue is we have at least 2 areas of our ED, as you've heard, it was built for 75 people. We have at least anywhere from 10 to 50 in areas that med-surg patients and ED patients could be housed. We don't have the capacity. We didn't anticipate that when it was built in the 90s, but the Eastern High School is actually built on the land that we would put, number one, a state-of-the-art behavioral health facility. And why wouldn't we put it in a high school or in the closed St. Lawrence building that we have there dormant? Because you need state-of-the-art. What we're going to is the treatment that you don't use chemical or physical restraints for those patients. Due to the treatment, due to the building, the light, the areas where they can decompress and de-escalate, that is what we need. We need state-of-the-art in Lansing, and we need to be the go-to for mid-Michigan and beyond. I just wanted to implore you that that's where we need to go for the future. And the other piece of that entire land is where we, and Mr. Pirich addressed it, we need to grow our young NICU, labor and delivery, and women's and children's. That would be in the footprint as well. So if we cannot do that, we will be landlocked as a continuous campus. So thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Next is Dustin Howard, followed by Aaron Pangborn.
Good evening, Council. My name is Dustin Howard. I am the business manager for the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, Local 333. I'd like to state for the record that the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters fully support what U of M Health and Sparrow and their commitment and investment to the city of Lansing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Aaron Pangborn, followed by Todd McCassell.
Hi, everybody. Aaron Pangborn, IBEW, Local 665, Electricians Union here in Lansing. Good to see everybody tonight. Also would like to speak in support of U of M Health and Sparrow for these projects coming up here. It's much needed in our community. Sparrow's been a long partner with labor for a long time. So I'd like to speak in favor of this project and ones coming forward. And happy Labor Day coming up here to everybody. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Todd McCassell and then Chad Morrison.
Todd McCassell, thank you, City Council, for the opportunity to speak tonight in support of Sparrow Hospital and their advanced plans for the City of Lansing. Appreciate the opportunity and the recognition tonight of this long weekend we've got coming. Celebration of labor. I'm privileged and honored to represent skilled labor in this Lansing market. We are extremely blessed. Some of the most highly skilled and productive workforce in the Midwest. Long history with Sparrow. Look forward to continued success there. I personally owe a great debt of gratitude to Sparrow. The skilled trade members of my family started life at Sparrow. So quite a legacy. We look forward to a great future and see what that holds for everyone. It's something that we have invested in as a skilled trade union. Self-funded programs that are $65 million in recent expenditure to service the city of Lansing. So we've look forward to a great future with Sparrow and look forward to these projects. Thanks for the support.
Thank you. Next we've got Chad Morrison, followed by Jimmy Chapman.
Good evening. Chad Morrison with Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 2. BAC supports Sparrow U of M's continued investment into the city of Lansing and to the community as a whole. BAC supports Sparrow's plans on the development of the old Eastern High School site for the future needs of the city in a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got Jimmy Chapman and then Loretta Stanaway.
Good evening. I'm Jimmy Chapman, business agent for Labor's Local 499. On behalf of my members, I express strong support for the University of Michigan Sparrow proposal to create the 120-bed behavioral health facility, which includes the area of the Eastern High School. We also urge the City Council, or you fine folks, to reject plans to declare that site as a historic district and avoid any other additional resolutions or study committees that could significantly hinder the progress of that project, but the future ones as well. And if I might say, just on a personal note, what a blessing it is to have this type of entity in our midst right now, to have the money and the ability to create such a fulfill a need that we have. It was very recently that I was at the hospital with some family, and I saw firsthand everything that has been spoken about this evening, as far as the overcrowded ER, the need for the mental health area, and my goodness, what a blessing this will be to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Loretta Stanaway, followed by David Hochman.
Hokinson.
Okay, a couple of quick things tonight. First off, I want to talk about something that'll be coming up down the pike. It's in the items from the mayor for future use. Item 24, purchase of property, 2300 South Washington Avenue. If you look at that, you see the city is proposing to buy a spot of property to the south of where the new city public safety complex will be built for $300,000. But if you look a little further, the city owns the property through the building authority. So I would like to hear, before this gets voted on at a future time, a very clear and precise explanation of why we should expend $300,000 to transfer a property from the city to the city. Or if there's some other entity involved there that I don't understand at this point, please make it clear to me before you guys vote on this issue. Second, the Board of Water and Light and the proposed rate increase. I think everybody up there knows it's an exorbitant rate that can't be justified. And no matter how they spin it, the truth is it's more than most people can afford, and you will be forcing people to choose between staying in Lansing, moving out of Lansing, feeding themselves, feeding their children, paying their other bills, being able to pay their property taxes, you name it. It'll be a pinch that they cannot sustain. And the city needs to encourage the Board of Water and Light to look at other options beside this expensive rice plant, for one thing, including the cleanest, easiest, cheapest source of energy in this area, and we are surrounded by it, and that is water. Why are we doing nothing with water? It is the cleanest energy out there. And then lastly, on the hospital issue, Sparrow has not very long ago completed building the Herbert Herman Cancer Center, state of the art. I think it's maybe 5 or 6, 7 years old. Their ER is crowded, but part of that is attributed to the fact that McLaren underbuilt when they moved, and they shove their patients when they get full over to Sparrow. The other part of that is that Sparrow, whether they build more space, whether they have more room in the ER or not, they don't have the staff, and they're not going to have the staff to build an extended facility. They can't get enough people in there now to cover the shifts, and that won't change by increasing the number of shifts. Moving people over to the Okemos facility has helped some, but again, they're short-staffed. They can't keep that thing open as much as it's supposed to be because they don't have staff on hand. So there are a lot of pros, there are a lot of cons. You need to dig a little deeper. You need to look at more of the aspects of what triggers these situations and not just look at what proposed outcomes there are that benefit one group of people. Thank you.
Thank you. David Hokinson, followed by Nick Zandy.
What's up, scumbags? Y'all like to steal from people, violate their constitutional right, and sit up here like you're some buddy special?
Sir, if you could please
I'm
watch your
Hey,
language. Thank
hey,
you. We want to hear you.
Excuse me.
Absolutely want to hear you.
Excuse me.
Please watch your language.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
I've suffered an issue with you people for several years. This shit's ending today. Period. I got a federal lawsuit.
Sir, if
Hey,
you
I
continue to
got
cuss,
the
I'm gonna
right to
have
say
have you
whatever
removed
I
from this
want.
chamber.
It's a constitutional right. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution, did you
Sir, I'm
not?
going to ask you one more time. and
I'm
I-
going to tell you one more time. Did you take an oath to uphold the Constitution, sir?
This is your time to comment.
Did you? You did. Shut up.
If we could please have this man
Okay.
removed, I'd appreciate
No,
it.
I'll leave.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Conwell committed a felony against me last Friday night. This is my issuing charges against him. Have a nice day.
Next, we have Nicholas Zandy, followed by Thomas Kwiku.
Well, all I can say is that I sincerely apologize for what the last guy said. Second of all, I also want to apologize for the fact that I have to keep holding my neck because...
If we could very quickly, I know that our officer is dealing with that out there. Could we get those double doors shut? Just so, we want to make sure we can hear you.
Yeah.
Just hold on 1 second. All right. Thanks so much, Nick. We appreciate it.
I was getting a little worried for a second. Anyways, I also want to apologize for the fact that I'm holding my neck right now, and that's because I had to sit up front because the whole thing was crowded because the buses weren't coming on time, and I came here late because of that because I had to get my dad to drive me here. And I think buses really need to come on time, especially when you consider that city council meetings can be as crowded as they were when I came in here. And because of that, sitting up front and I have to look up, it physically hurts me to do so. Second of all, I gotta speak a bit about the Neogen expansion again. Pardon me because this neck hurts. No, I don't think it's broken. It just aches. The Neogen expansion thing, I have a bit of a personal history with it, considering the whole thing with the fact that Neogen actually expanded to my neighborhood at the old, I think it was an old police station or something. And because of that, there was a fence built around it so that regular cars couldn't access the parking lot. And because of that, there was no way I was going to use this as a neighborhood meeting ground like it ever was previously, as far as I know. And honestly, this whole Neogen expansion thing, from what I've heard, allegedly they probably don't exactly treat their workers well, at least according to what the feds have had to say and what the Teamsters have had to say. I don't think it should be right to expand them. And the Genesee Senior Apartments thing, that thing should not be passing. As someone who's had to work my butt off, excuse my French, to bring back a neighborhood association like how Genesee is doing right now, what they're doing with the old playground is just wrong, especially considering what happened to Washington Park previously. These just should not have really been considered, and if you do consider something similar, make sure it doesn't mess with anything and that it doesn't go against workers' rights, especially since we're coming up on Labor Day. That's all I need to say, and I shall yield the rest of my time to unstress my neck.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Thomas Kwiku.
City Council and citizens of Lansing, the Lord bless you tonight. Father, we thank you for your will being done in the city of Lansing in this council meeting. Lord Jesus Christ, we thank you for your death, burial, resurrection. May you be glorified in all the citizens of Lansing. And Holy Ghost, we thank you for speaking tonight, opening hearts to receive your word in Jesus' name. I was here approximately a month ago, and I gave you a word from the Lord that he enjoined that city council must govern under him and like him. But I'm here to expound upon that and to emphasize that only you and anyone in leadership can govern under Christ and with him by first submitting to him biblically. I must preface these remarks by saying, in case some of you might have it come to mind about the issue of church and separation of church and state, that was only popularized by Thomas Jefferson in 1803 concerning the Danbury Baptist Church in Virginia, when the Congress tried to impose secular influence and imposition upon the church. Jefferson then was quoted in saying there must be a separation between church and state, not to keep secular government from being accountable to the Church of Jesus, but rather to keep the church from being imposed upon by secular edicts and government. So I want to preface that. In fact, government can only govern properly when being accountable to the one who has the government upon his shoulder. That's the Lord Jesus Christ. In order to govern the constituents of Lansing correctly and with fruit that will last in their lives temporarily and eternally, you must submit to Christ first. The process of this is simple. RBO, repent, believe, and obey. You must repent because Romans 3:23 says, counsel and citizens of Lansing, that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Lying, bitterness, hatred, serving other gods, idolatry, fornication, masturbation, homosexuality, lesbianism, pornography, LGBTQT, AI, whatever it is, if it's in violation of God's laws, it's considered a sin, no matter if it's legislated nationally or locally. But the good news, council and citizens of Lansing, is Jesus Christ, the Son of God, God who was manifest in flesh, who lived a life without sin, who showed his divinity through his miracle signs and wonders. He died on the cross as an atoning sacrifice for you and for me. It's not just about public occupational duties, it's about personal life. That all have sinned and personally violated the laws of God. Christ died and rose to save you, but it's incumbent upon you to repent, to believe in Jesus, and to obey him. Regardless of your background, your ideologies, you must obey Christ to properly govern these he's placed in your care. Please do so. Father, may the words that were spoken go straight to each heart. May each one obey you. In Jesus' name. Be blessed. Thank you. Governed by Christ, he's coming to judge us soon. Be blessed.
Just very quickly before we adjourn, I just wanted to address a few things. Primarily, the speaker, the earlier speaker, was absolutely correct. You absolutely have a First Amendment right to speak to this body, and you have the right to be angry with this body, to direct this body. We work for you. But I do have the right, which is supported by case law, and frankly, the responsibility to maintain decorum. These are business meetings, and primarily they serve to move the business of the city forward. And so, again, the last thing as a matter of fact, I've chaired this body, and I've had to step in the role as vice president a number of times to actually chair these meetings. And I think that's the first time I've ever had to have somebody removed. That's the last thing we want. So just wanted to address that very quickly. And with that being said, we are adjourned.